Hey YouTube, it's Black, and today coming at you with a deck profile for Penguin Control. This is something I started building after I was looking through the spoiler for Primal Origin, and after seeing and preparing for whatever next level meta comes out, and kind of getting worried / bored with it, I saw this card, No Penguin, and I was like, yo son, I'm gonna go build some penguins. So I took a couple days out of my week and I put together this deck. The original deck is a lot different from the original deck, as the original deck was basically nothing but penguins and water support cards. And then as I realized playing with the deck, it was a very slow, very defensive, very control-based deck. That's kind of what I turned it into, and it turned into this. Now, games with this deck are not short. This is not an OTK deck. It plays very slow, very methodically, and it relies heavily on its own defense to get its plays off. So that's one of its big inherent weaknesses. But before I get any further than that, let me actually run through the deck and run through what's in it, and we will talk strategy afterwards. So starting off, we got one Tidal, Dragon Ruler of Waterfalls, one Great Emperor Penguin, one Thunder King, one Tsukiyomi, 3 Nightmare Penguins, 3 No Penguins, 2 Junk Synchrons, 1 Geomancer of the Ice Barrier, 3 Penguin Soldiers, the bravest little Yu-Gi-Oh card to ever exist, and 3 Puny Penguins. For spells, we got 1 Rhoda, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Salvage, 2 MSTs, 1 Book of Moon, 2 Forbidden Lances, and 2 Ground Collapse. For traps, we got 2 Abakus, 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 Mirror Forces, 2 Deep Prisons, 1 Compulse, 2 Fiendish Chains, and a Solemn Warning. Extra deck consists of a Junk Destroyer, Starter Spark Dragon, Gungear Dragon of the Ice Barrier, Black Rose Dragon, Powered Inzectron, Armades, Cataster, Armory Arm, Bahamut Shark, Ragna Zero, Silent Honors Arc, Abyss Dweller, well, 2 Abyss Dwellers, Nightmare Shark, and Ghost Trick Alucard. Now, getting in, Tidal. Tidal's main function is not only to act as a beater for the deck, because once you get Puny Penguin in the graveyard, Puny Penguin's usefulness dies there, so mostly that's going to be the card you remove. But otherwise, Tidal's main purpose is to get Great Emperor Penguin and No Penguin into the graveyard. Great Emperor Penguin so it can be used with a Puny Penguin, and No Penguin so you can start plussing off the Penguin's effects. Other than that, Tidal's a good card for the deck. Of course, it's a Dragon Ruler, and it works well with the archetype. Outside of that, and occasionally summon it so I can get it back to my hand and attack, Tidal really has no other use for me. Now, Great Emperor Penguin. Great Emperor Penguin, you want to run at 1 because when you get its effect off once, that's pretty much the only time you're ever going to use that effect, unless you're overloading your deck with penguins like the normals like Flying Penguin and Bolt Penguin. Since I'm not doing that, and I need most of my penguins face down to get their effects off, the only one I really go for with this card is No Penguin, to get 2 copies of No Penguin. So 1 worked well for me. I don't rarely tribute summon this card if I don't have to. If I can avoid it, I will, and mostly get it successfully summoned off of No Puny Penguin's effect after it's been flipped. Thunder King Ryo is to help with the more control options in this deck, because it can get really bad for your opponent when you do double Ground Collapse plus Thunder King. Now they have to find something to get over Thunder King, and while working with only 1 space to do so. Tsukiyomi is a lot more important to this deck than I first thought. It was something I actually forgot about till I had a whim one day, and it's really great to summon something off Junk Synchron like Penguin Soldier, summon Tsukiyomi, and flip it back face down so I can reuse its effect. It is way too good, and also Tsukiyomi helps with after I've been forced to flip penguins myself, and she just kind of resets them. Nightmare Penguin. Nightmare Penguin is one of the penguins you want to max out at 3, because he's MST and Compulsive Evacuation Device in 1 card. If it's on your opponent's turn, he can hit monsters. If it's on your turn, he can hit back row. Plus the fact that he gives all water monsters a 200-point boost really helps because this deck's monsters have little to no attack. So that's the other reason why the games are kind of drawn out, because instead of beating your opponent down with massive attacking monsters. You're going to be poking at them basically while controlling what they summon and what they do. Nightmare Penguin's also the only reason you'll be able to go into level 7s and rank 4s, because with Junk Synchron and Geomancer, he makes 7s. With Tsukiyomi or other Nightmare Penguins, he makes rank 4s. Now, best card in the deck, and my favorite right now, besides this little guy, is No Penguin. No Penguin is in Primal Origin. It's a level 3 with 1600 attack and 100 defense. Its effect is, when a Penguin monster's effect is activated, special summon this card from your graveyard. You can only use this effect of No Penguin once per turn. So you can't stack multiple copies of No Penguin on top of each other. But basically, it boils down to the last sentence, which is, cards returned from the field to the hand by Penguin card effects are banished instead. So basically what is going to happen if your opponent attacks a face-down Penguin Soldier or a face-down Nightmare Penguin and you have a No Penguin in the graveyard, Penguin Soldier or that Penguin will flip, activate its effect. No Penguin will special summon itself, and instead of bouncing that card back to hand, it will banish itself. Great way to get rid of Exceeds or just huge monsters your opponent has on the field. I have gotten rid of Graphis this way, I've gotten rid of Genzos, I've gotten rid of Monarchs, stupid XYZs, and nobody's expecting this when it actually happens to them. Plus, also, No Penguin is the only real, I guess, beater this deck has, seeing as he is the strongest normal summonable Penguin with 1600 attack. Max out at this card at 3, because if it dies, oh well, you're going to get it back when you flip a Penguin. Love this card. Love it. And just look at that art. Great. Okay, moving on to Junk Synchron. This deck needed some more teeth, essentially, because Penguins by themselves have no fangs, if I say so. So basically, Junk Synchron pulls back Penguin Soldier and sinks for level 5s. He works with Great Emperor Penguin, going for 8s, and can pull off some really nasty plays with when you combine him with Tsukiyomi. Because you can just pull back that Penguin, summon Tsukiyomi, flip the Penguin back face down, and then sync with Tsukiyomi for a level 7. Really great. I've tried this card at 3. I've tried it with Quick Draw as well. 2 Junk Synchron seems to work great because you need this card in there to help get Gun Gear out, which is the other reason this deck can push really hard. Geomancer is just here because she's a level 3 water tuner and makes it easy to go into Gun Gear with either multiple copies of Penguin Soldier or just one Nightmare Penguin. Plus, she has the ability to protect herself from other attributes on the field by just discarding a card, which really helps get No Penguin and Great Emperor Penguin into the graveyard. Now, best card, one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards ever to exist, Penguin Soldier. I couldn't tell you how much I love Penguin Soldier. It's something about the art and that stupid ass effect. It just gets to me for some reason. But simple effect, flip it, you target 2 monsters on the field, return those targets to the hand. Really not great against cards that protect themselves from targeting, but when you get this effect off, it brings a smile to both you and your opponent, because it's like, oh my gosh, oh dude, it's Penguin Soldier. But max out on this card if you can. This is going to be your main target for Junk Synchron, your main Penguin you're going to set, and you can infinitely recycle this card with Puny Penguin. So max out at 3, simple as that. Puny Penguin, probably behind Penguin Soldier and No Penguin, the most important Penguin in the deck. Its effect is, when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard after being flipped face up, target 1 Penguin monster in your graveyard except Puny Penguin, special summon that target in face up attack or face down defense position. Basically, he's going to set up the rest of your plays when your Penguins dies, and he is your insurance. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to set Puny Penguin. If he dies and you have a Penguin in the field and No Penguin, it's going to reset that Penguin in the graveyard and then special summon No Penguin. And this is the main way I get out Great Emperor Penguin. It's a Junk Synchron target, which is great. Allows me to go into Armory Arm really easy. And it's just freaking adorable. Look at it. It's the next bravest little card. Max out of 3, very important. But other than that, that kind of does it for monsters. Move it for spells and traps. These are kind of standard. This is just to grab Junk Synchron faster. This puts No Penguin or Great Emperor Penguin into the graveyard faster. Since all Penguins except No Penguin and Great Emperor are under 15, this infinitely recycles graveyard back into your hand. I may add another one, but I'm having trouble with space as is. Back row removal. You can actually take cards out of the deck to max out on MSTs, but because you run so much back row, I wouldn't. Reset your penguins or your opponent's monsters, just to make sure your stuff survives and you can get over stuff. And every format I have a card I just absolutely love for no apparent reason. In this format, it's Ground Collapse, which works very well for the deck because it forces your opponent into takes away spots on their board and allows the targeting for your penguins to become a whole lot easier because of the limited space they have. Running 2 is probably the most optimal play because running 3, you will lock out your opponent's field completely, but you'll be forced to lock out your own zones as well, which you need. Also, this works very well for the control-based parts of this deck, limiting your opponent's options and forcing them to do things they wouldn't have to do. Now, Waboku is a recent addition to this deck. I wasn't running Waboku before, I was running Torrential, but I realized in the fact that if I want this deck to succeed, my penguins need to survive. Waboku is great for that fact because my opponent will attack into Penguin Soldier, I chain Waboku, it'll flip Penguin Soldier, he'll survive, they'll lose their monster. I don't know why I wasn't running this before, I was an idiot for not doing it, but I'm running 2 of these for that reason. Bottomless, Mirror Force, and Deep Prison. Plus Compulse are basic monster protection and spot removal. And Fiendish, I actually may switch this out with Breakthrough Skill. Because of the way the format's shaping up, Breakthrough Skill's becoming the better choice. So, it's all up to you what you want to do. I'm not running Veiler in this deck because I don't want to run Veiler, and I like the monster count I have at the moment. So, this may get swapped out with Breakthrough Skill eventually. And Warning, because Warning's awesome. Junk Destroyer. Easy to go into with Puny Penguin and multiple Penguin Soldiers or whatever. Makes it, because I'm using a bunch of small monsters to make Junk Destroyer, I can pop multiple cards on field so I can fully utilize this effect as I want to. Plus he's 2600 attack, which really helps in the end. Stardust Spark Dragon may replace this with Scrap Dragon. I rarely go into it because my key card of choice is Junk Destroyer, but it's just there to be there in case I need it. Gun Gear. You only have one way to go into this card, and that's with Geomancer of the Ice Barrier. But when you get this card off successfully, it really helps secure where you are. It sets up the graveyard with by discarding Great Emperor Penguin and No Penguin to pop cards on the field. Plus it has 2500 attack, making it really hard to get over. And Black Rose just for field nukes in case I need it. And Zectron because we really have no great level 6 monsters, and Zectron I think is the closest thing we're going to get for a while. Plus because he protects himself and I don't take battle damage the turn he's summoned, so it kind of works in my favor. And Armades and Catastor because those are probably the 2 best level 5s, generic level 5s in the game. Armory Arm because it's easy to make with Puny Penguin, plus it gives, if you attach it to No Penguin, it goes to 2600 with burn damage, which is awesome. And Bahamut Shark. If I want to keep this deck legal post Primal Origin, I can't put in full armored Black Ray Lancer, so Bahamut Shark into Nightmare Shark, who I think will attach a material to himself, is still a great play. Bahamut Shark is just freaking huge as well, and pretty much easy to make with 2 Nightmare Penguins. Ragna Zero because she's going to become really important against decks that require field spells to get their they give attack boost, and she can just pop and give me advantage that way. Arc because it's a really good card. Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller's main purpose is to get that 500 attack boost when I need it, and plus him being generic really helps the deck out. And Nightmare Shark because it's easy to make with no penguins, and having a free poke directly is awesome. And Alucard just to get rid of back row and face down I don't want to deal with. Now side things you can add to the deck and things I've taken out before, even though they worked really well and had great synergy with the deck, just couldn't find the space, are Aqua Spirit. Aqua Spirit, everybody knows how good Aqua Spirit is in water-based decks. You remove Banish Penguin, Banish Water, special summon it, gives you a free Synchro option and a free Exceed option. Now you don't have to play this card, you don't have to force yourself to play it. I was playing it, worked really well for the deck. I just wanted to cut the deck down to 40, so she's the card that came out. Junk Warrior works great for the deck as well because you're running a bunch of level 2 or lower monsters. He'll add all those to himself when he attacks and give you a really huge monster to just sit on top of. The second salvage, just in case you want more consistency from grave to hand. Along with that third MST, because I've been running into a lot of burn decks recently, so when I do build this deck in real life, because this is going to be my official fun deck, the third MST is in that side deck just in case I ever run into it. Torrential, I was running it before. Only problem is that I would get more established than my opponent, and I didn't want to lose my field, or I didn't want to lose a flip, so it officially got moved to the side for when I need it. Another thing I realized works really well with this deck is the card Bubble Bringer. It basically acts as a Suedo Gravity Bind, keeping level 4 or higher monsters from attacking you directly. And also you can send it to target No Penguins and Puny Penguins and special summon them going for Exceed or Synchro Plays. Now that is an option this deck has, you do not have to play it, but it's all up to you. And also, for whenever this card comes out, because fuck burn, I hate playing against burn decks, and I hate when people just drop this stuff, is Guard Penguin. Guard Penguin will help you so much playing against burn decks. You can just swap out all your Toon Hairs for Guard Penguins and then watch your opponent cry, then try to burn you, and you just special summon this. Also, he will set No Penguin off as well, but that's for another time. But all in all, that's about the deck. Like I said, this deck is incredibly defensive. Do not expect fast games or games where you will push really hard, because this is a very defensive, very slow, and very control-based deck. But it's really fun as well, and it's nice to play something other than meta or something that ends the game incredibly quickly. Sometimes you just want to have interaction with your opponent and play things out. But let me know what you guys think. If you have any suggestions, as always, I'm open to them. And if you know something I don't know, hey, let me know. But I think I will attach one replay to this. It's me facing a burn deck, and it was actually kind of funny because I knew where this was going and I knew how it was going to end, but it was just fun to play it out. And me and my opponent had a fun conversation while we were playing. But as always, thank you for watching, stay black, and I will see you next time.